Myths about Mutawatir Hadith. Welcome back to Critical Reflections. Today we're diving into the so-called Mutawatir Hadith, the ones that are supposed to be so widely transmitted that fabrication is impossible. But hold on folks, because when we look closer things aren't as foolproof as they seem. And yes, there might be a few laughs along the way. What is a Mutawatir Hadith? A Mutawatir Hadith is defined as one narrated by so many independent chains of transmitters that it's impossible they all conspired to lie. It's like saying if 1,000 people on Twitter agree on something, it must be true. Except here we're supposed to have actual independence in each chain. Sounds neat, right? But here's the catch. Imagine placing 1 grain of sand on a table. It's clearly not a heap. You keep adding grains one by one. At what exact point does it become a heap? This is the Sorites Paradox. There's no clear-cut moment when a few grains turn into a heap. Now let's apply this to Mutawatir Hadith. A hadith with one transmitter chain, isnad, is clearly not mutawatir. Add a few more transmitter chains, 4, 5, 10. At what number does it become certain truth? Hadith scholars say many, for example 10, 40, 70, make it mutawatir, but where is the clear threshold? This exposes the arbitrary nature of the Mutawatir classification. There's no exact number that magically turns a report from possibly false to definitely true. A bottleneck occurs when a widely transmitted report ultimately relies on a small number of key transmitters at any point in the chain. This undermines the claim that Mutawatir hadiths provide unquestionable certainty. The source bottleneck, the beginning of the chain. Even if 70 or more people narrate a hadith later, the chain still begins with a single individual or a small group. If the first narrators misheard, forgot, or exaggerated, the mistake gets amplified down the line. For example, if one person claims the Prophet said something and others simply repeat it, the number of later narrators doesn't make the original claim more reliable. The transmission bottleneck, the middle of the chain. Even if a hadith was originally widespread over time, it often gets passed through a few key narrators. If even one key narrator is unreliable or makes a mistake, the entire chain is compromised, no matter how many people transmit it later. The collection bottleneck, the end of the chain. Hadiths were compiled centuries after the Prophet, relying on a handful of scholars who decided which reports to record. If these collectors like Bukhari and Muslim had biases, errors, or relied on weak sources, then even Mutawatir hadiths could be flawed. For example, if 1,000 people narrate an event, but only one person writes it down, the reliability depends entirely on that compiler's judgment. So, are Bukhari and Muslim infallible? Due to the Sorites Paradox, the exact number of transmitter chains that magically turns a report from possibly false to definitely true remains an unresolved issue. The tightness of bottlenecks in these chains further complicates the matter, leaving hadith scholars in a state of confusion. Many claim there are hundreds of Mutawatir hadith, but in reality, only a handful meet the strict criteria. Ibn Hibban asserts that there are none. Ibn al-Salah suggests there is only one, while others broaden the definition to include hadith that fail to meet the conditions. Al-Suyuti identifies 112, Al-Makbali counts 156, Al-Qahtani lists 310, and a modern compilation claims 322. If a hadith can be fabricated, why not its transmitter chain, or sanad? Let's consider a few scenarios. Fabricated chains can be classified as mutawatir. A hadith compiler can invent multiple chains, making a false report appear mutawatir by fabricating different isnads. False narrators can create false mutawatir hadiths. If multiple narrators deliberately fabricate transmission chains, the hadith may still be labeled mutawatir, even if it's entirely false. When narrators misremember and unknowingly agree on an incorrect version, it can still be classified as mutawatir, despite being inaccurate. In short, mutawatir status does not guarantee authenticity, as it can result from fabrication, collective mistakes, or bottlenecks in transmission. This raises an important question. If more transmitter chains increase authenticity, does having fewer chains reduce truth? If so, why accept non-Mutawatir Sahih Hadith at all? Let's expose a major contradiction in hadith logic. For the sake of argument, we'll agree with the claim. If transmitted by many people, it can't be a fabrication. But history proves otherwise. Mass deception and collective errors exist, for example, urban legends and mass hysteria. We also established flaws before. Yet, when it comes to Aahad hadith, the premise suddenly changes. Truth can come through a single, reliable transmitter chain. Did you notice the contradiction? First they say numbers prevent fabrication, then they say truth does not require numbers. A logical mind would ask, if numbers are necessary, then a single chain is unreliable. If a single chain is enough, then numbers are unnecessary. Both cannot be true at the same time. The argument collapses under its own contradiction. There are logical fallacies involved. Self-contradiction. Claiming both numbers and not numbers determine truth. False equivalence. Treating two opposing methods as equally valid. Special pleading. Applying different standards based on convenience. By their own logic, both Mutawatir and Aahad hadith cannot be equally valid sources of truth. The argument is fundamentally flawed. We've broken down the bottleneck problem, the Sorites Paradox, flaws in Mutawatir logic, and the contradictory logic behind Mutawatir Hadith. More chains don't guarantee truth. Fabrication, mistakes, and mass deception exist. No clear threshold turns a report from possibly false to definitely true. Mutawatir Hadith also can be fabricated. Contradictory logic: if numbers are needed for truth, why accept Aahad Hadith? In the end, the claim that Mutawatir Hadith provide absolute certainty is just that, a claim, not a proof. It's time to question the narrative and think critically. The truth should be based on evidence, not numbers. Thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe for more critical analysis. Also, don't forget to comment your thoughts on the topic. See you in the next one. Peace be upon you.